This is the Player to Pro podcast, where every pitch of every game matters and where players, parents, and coaches come together to win both on and off the field.
All right, so we got a special guest on today. We got Mathias, who is currently with the Milwaukee Brewers organization. He was at Major League Spring Training, really pushing hard to get a spot on that Major League roster, the 25-man roster.
26.
Oh, 26. That's right.
Yeah, 26.
What a time, man. what an opportunity. That's 30 more spots in the big leagues. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should have tried to play this year. Maybe get a little extra.
Hey, come back, man. You look like you've been staying in shape, doing some quarantine workouts. Looking a little beefy there.
I know, right? So, a little bit about Mathias. We played together in the Cleveland Indians organization last year. Mark is a third-round draft pick with the Cleveland Indians back in 2015. So this is his fourth full season playing with the Poly State. Do you want to say the whole name for us?
It's going to be – so it's Poly SLO for short, California Polytechnic State University, Central California. Two Cal Polys, so San Luis Obispo. And also Pomona. So I went to Poly SLO is what we call it.
Well, thank you for that insight, that background.
Yeah. I always try to get it right because like people they're like, oh, which Cal Poly do you go to? Pomona or SLO? I'm like, yeah, SLO. It's two different ones. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. Well, yeah, we go back. We got Mark and I got to play last year together in Columbus, the AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians, and it was an awesome year. It was my last year playing. I just have a lot of great memories. I actually came from the Minnesota Twins organization at the end of April and got to join up with these guys, and what an amazing team. We actually got to go to the national championship in Memphis, played against the Sacramento River Cats. But just a really good year. Definitely built a lot of great relationships. But Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself or about this whole situation with the COVID-19 going on and how you're handling everything.
Yeah, man, it's been tough. It's been a situation that, no one's kind of planned for. And it's easy to kind of sit back and play the guy where it's going to, predict when this is all going to be done and when baseball is going to be back up, when we're going to be outside on the diamond playing. But for me, it's my focus, just to stay in the moment and try to make every day worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to sit back here and say, hey, we got 3 weeks, 4 weeks more, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months of quarantine left. But how are you going to get better in those days, in those minutes, those hours, and just break it down into kind of just winning the day, man, and not thinking too far ahead of it, not thinking too far back, and just staying in the moment.
Yeah, so you're getting to go to a field. You get to practice outside because you're in Texas right now, right outside Austin. So you actually get to go outside. But it just snowed in Chicago. I talked to some family back home. And these guys they can't get outside. So is there any advice that you might be able to give to these young ball players that, hey, you're inside, what's the best thing you can do? Do you know any drills? Or anything that you can think of?
Yeah, so defensively, we actually did this drill where, you don't really need that. You don't need a field. You don't need baseballs. It's basically a reactive hand-eye coordination kind of drill. All you really need is a little tennis racket, 25 or 30 tennis balls, and you're going to stand probably 15 to 20 yards away from whoever your availability for somebody to hit you them. And you're just going to have the guy throw up the tennis balls, and you're going to hit him. And then you're going to use your glove one-handed and just work hand-eye twitch muscles. Was actually a kind of a good drill I did a couple of days ago because you look at how hard those Wimbledon, players are hitting those balls and those serves. What's the average amount of exit velo, you think?
I thought it was over 100 something.
Yeah, over 100, right? I'm not sure exactly the numbers, but the tennis ball is coming off a lot harder than a baseball, in my opinion.
So these young kids are, like I said, in Chicago or any cold weather climate. They're in pretty tight quarters.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, they're inside.
Yeah, so it might be something, I don't know, maybe modify that drill. I love that idea, though. Maybe just have somebody pepper you tennis balls off a tennis racket that's really close. Just
Yep.
your short hops in, maybe in your basement or something.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you see all the Twitter videos of throwing the ball off the wall and short hop it yourself using your hands. I like a tennis ball, man. I like a tennis ball, because the ball is a little bit quicker. The ball bounces a little bit quicker, and it's not super loud. You can't throw a baseball against your mom's wall or your dad's wall right now. You know what I'm saying?
I always did when I was a kid, but I don't know. Probably shouldn't disclose that.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right, though. You're right. I mean, those are great drills to do because I think it's the fundamentals that's the most important thing. I mean, you can't don't disregard how important it is just to feel the short hop, even if it's not moving at you fast, but just to get your hand moving, making that positive action towards the baseball. It's so important for these kids to do, right?
Another thing I've been working on too is I talked to you a little bit about it in 2019 was just throwing the ball because you throw a nice four-seam ball, man. I mean, watching you throw the ball to first is unbelievable. The way the ball spins out of your hand, man, is like, okay, this guy knows how to throw the ball, and he's got a cannon. So I lay on my back, dude, and I grab a baseball and I'll throw it up, and I'm just working on that nice four-seam spin rate. Because it's efficient, man. When you're playing third base for 100 and something games and you're known to throw a cutter or a sinker, not only is that going to be hard on your first baseman, it's going to be hard on your arm.
I love that, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I used to always do that as a kid when I was bored. Just throw the ball to myself and make sure that the spin. That's probably I was bored a lot. Maybe that's why I was really good at throwing across the diamond.
You throw the ball really well. And I've had a shoulder surgery, so my arm is it's gotten a lot better since the surgery, but it's been tough for me getting a lot of time in college and pro ball at second base and moving over to third base towards my 2017. So I played 2 years of pro ball, moved over to the left side of the diamond, started playing a lot more third. And I'm sure that's a big difference, man. That throw from second and that throw from third is a big difference if you're not getting on top of it and throwing it correctly.
You got to really use your legs a lot.
Yep.
That side of the diamond, there's no question. Well, that's great. That's great to hear all these little techniques that these young players can use while they're staying inside a lot and the weather's not as nice as it should be right now. But so before I reached out to you to be on the show, to be a guest on Player to Pro, I was just thinking about the situation and how tough it must be for these seniors in high school that were going to sign or this year to go play college ball, or some of them might have gone to sign to play pro ball, and some college players that were going to go play pro ball. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about you, man, and the season that you had last year, you hit 270, OPS about 800, 12 home runs, drove in about 60 RBIs. And I'm thinking about man, this kid's about to break into the big leagues right here, and just knowing that you were with Milwaukee, you felt like you had a good shot to break camp. Talk to me, run that through that mindset for me right now. I feel for you.
Yeah, man. So you go into my season last year, I probably one of the only position players that was there the whole entire year that didn't get an opportunity to, make an impact in the big leagues at any point during the year. So I'm looking at my year, I'm like, I deserve a chance to actually play at the highest level going into that. So I was a little bit frustrated, going into the off season and going into, November and the whole Rule 5 draft situation, getting protected and added to the roster, going into Milwaukee and going into spring training, thinking, you have a chance of breaking with the team, going into spring training. I'm having a great spring training, and we play the Dodgers on a night game. We get rained out, go back into the locker room, and one of my teammates says, hey, NBA just postponed their whole season. So then we're sitting there in the locker room like, okay, this is all going to happen pretty quickly. So we come into the complex the next day. We were playing the Angels, I think, and we had a meeting at 11, and shortly after that had another meeting at 12, which basically they just said, hey, baseball is not going to be played right now. So, that kind of just took my world and flipped it because I've been training my whole entire life for this opportunity to make a big league roster.
100%, man.
Yeah, man. So with the whole situation, I think the biggest thing for me, man, is just to kind of think about this as a time to work on, things that I can get better mentally, physically, and, just having a better mindset, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to get down on yourself during this time and not really think that baseball is going to be played anytime soon and kind of just sit on the couch and eat pizza kind of thing.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the discipline that you still have to have. I mean, you just came off a off season that you just busted your behind. Because I remember
Yeah.
what I put into the off season. That's where you made your season, was in the off season, making sure that you're keeping up to date with everything, making sure that you're on point, getting
Mm-hmm.
strong. And then you get all excited for spring training to get the season going. All right, now you get to have fun. You get to apply all this hard work into the season. And now it's the off season again, basically, I feel like. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like you're thinking about like April right now.
yeah.
Best case scenario, we start playing baseball in late May, early June. That's best case scenario. You know what I'm saying? So you're thinking right now is end of December is what you're really thinking, right? Because you got, May, the full month, and then June is going to be when season starts, spring training.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, pretty much the whole off season kind of thing.
Right, man. So that's
Yeah.
I completely feel for you, man. And that mindset, I know you have a solid mindset. Like, playing with you, have a ton of respect of how you went about your business, how you carried yourself, and how much you improved as I was there. How I saw you progress, both
Mm-hmm.
physically and mentally. I actually had a conversation last week with Justin and his son, Crew, kind of about this. Crew asked me, he's the player, he's a junior in high school, and he asked me along the lines of a mindset, when I'm having a tough game,
Mm-hmm.
how do I handle that? And so I kind of wanted to follow up and ask you, like, knowing your experience in college and in pro ball, like, when you're having a bad game, how do you combat that?
Yeah, man. I mean, with this game we play, failure is the top subject that everyone wants to talk about, right? Because you're failing every single day. When you get to bro ball, you're not only failing, but you're failing, more often. You're playing 163 games for the big league season like you. I break it down into verbal and physical cues that help me get in my mindset to be more positive. So I'm going to break it down into 2 verbal cues I use. One verbal cue I adopted was when I got down in the count, 0-2, 1-2, pitchers count, they're ahead. Was just simple 3 words, I got this. And when I say that to myself, I don't just say it like, I actually say it so the catcher can hear it sometimes.
Really?
So the catcher will look up to me like, okay, okay. And it's just something I adopted that helped me get my mindset into a way where I wasn't getting scared of failure. I think the biggest thing with a lot of young athletes is viewing a threat as a challenge. I mean, viewing like so you have a whole situation where it's, runners in scoring position. You got definitely a play, like a pressure situation. Okay. Pressure situation, down by 2, you're up, you view that situation as pressure, as a challenge rather than a threat. Was one thing I learned that was big. You view that, you see it as a challenge. So you're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Let's get this, rather than, oh no, it's a threat. I don't want to strike out. I don't want to make an error in this situation. So you're using your mindset as a challenge. So you're kind of lifting yourself up to play at an ability where you're playing at a higher ability kind of thing. That helped me a lot too. So I got this is one way one thing I say. And then defensively, one thing I say is hit the ball to me. So that's 2 different things I use verbally. And then physically, I just want to run through a couple things I do physically. So a lot of hitters, when they strike out to end the inning, they like to take their helmet off and walk to their position to play defense. I like taking the time to walk to the dugout to reflect on my at-bat, whatever it's done. I grab my hat and my glove. I grab the inside part of my bill, my cap, I rub it. Once I put my hat on, I'm playing defense. Whatever just happened is over.
Right, yeah.
And I go out there and play. And that's one offense to defense cue I have physically I do. Another defensive physical cue I have is I'll like to use my feet to rub the dirt in front of me. If I make an error or have a bad play, just to kind of, replenish or recue my whole instincts out there.
Man, that's unbelievable. Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of other professional baseball players do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to find my way of doing things as well. But the key is, like I said to crew last week, you have to find a way to separate your hitting from your defense.
Yep.
And the main point that I made to myself, first of all, but to him, is that it's no longer about me out there. Like, after I'm done hitting, yeah, I struck out with the bases loaded, whatever. That's really tough to swallow. Don't get me wrong. But once I'm out on defense, it's no longer about me. It's about that pitcher. And I can't drill that home to these young players enough.
Mm-hmm.
Say that you got to be selfless out there. If you're thinking about in your last at bat, that ball's going to get on you really quick. Before you know it, you have an error, and the pitcher's in a jam.
Error and a strikeout.
And then you're going to go back and strike out again, right? So you gotta separate hitting and defense.
That's cool you said that, man, because that resonates with me so well. Because in 2016, I was hitting, I think, 160, 140 the first month of April. And Travis Fryman with the Indians, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, third baseman. I talked to him about it. I said, hey, I've been working a lot with my mechanics and stuff during the pregame work and my ground ball work. And I have a hard tendency of thinking about those mechanics and those things I'm doing pregame, and I'm taking that into my game. Okay. And that's affecting my play. So I said, hey, Travis, what do you got on that in that situation of how you kind of separate your pre-work to your competition play? And he says to me, he brings me over to the side. He says, hey, when I was in Cleveland, I had this thing where I'd walk down from the locker room to the dugout for stretch. There was this little doorway with a panel on top, and I'd hit the panel on top.
Right.
Every single time I'd go into the dugout. And that was my cue. From the second I stepped and hit that doorway, it was all about winning. There was no more me. There was no more mechanics, my play, nothing like that. I was just trying to win ball games with my team.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, and I had chills, bro. I had chills from my hair was straight up.
My hair, that's like exactly. I know guys like that, man. It's just amazing. Their mentality, because that's what separates the good baseball players from the great baseball players, right? Is that mindset. And it's for me, I've always had encouraged myself and other young kids is to have that growth mindset. Always find a way to learn, try to ask questions, surround yourself with good people. And
it's easy to have that fixed mindset, Rosie, when you're the top 13, 14, 15-year-old player in your area. I'm saying I'm, traveling all across the country playing 13, 14-year-old tournaments, thinking you're kind of on a high horse, you know what I'm saying? And have that fixed mindset where, hey, this coach can't help me. This coach can't help me. My swing is dialed in. Right. But I'll tell you what, buddy, you get up 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, you're playing against guys all across the world that work just as hard. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have a growth mindset to be able to willingly adopt programs and lessons from guys like you that have experience, and implement that into their game to help them get better. And that's big.
That is a great point, man, because this is a marathon, right? It's not a sprint, right? It's going to take a lot to get to that finish line. And yeah, it seems like a long time. It seems like the finish line is so far away. But let me tell you, man, like I got to play 14 years professionally, 4 years in college. It feels like in a heartbeat how fast it goes. So every single day, whoever is coaching you, every day matters. For me, I broke it down to every single pitch matters.
For sure.
Because it's a marathon. Every step matters to inch forward. So, but
that's crazy. You say marathon. Marathon continues, man. It's a long road. I mean, I'm going 4.5 years, playing pro ball, and I look at you in the screen, man. I look up to you, man. You got those years of playing against the best of the world, and not many players can say they played for that long, dude. And you sit there and you're talking to me that doesn't have any big league experience, and you're talking to me at the same pedestal. So that, that creates that kind of respect. So that means a lot to me, man.
Yeah, no, nothing but respect to you too. And Mark, I just appreciate you being on. I know these parents, these coaches and players are going to benefit so much just for you coming on and sharing your thoughts. So we appreciate you being on, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I can't wait for baseball to get back and this whole pandemic to, to clear over and get, everyone healthy back to what they love doing.
That's right. And we will. We'll get it back, and we'll get you to the big leagues, man.
Oh, yeah, baby. Get to the show, man. I want to get to the TV highlights, man.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you, Mark.
All right, later.